For WeAreSC.com, welcome to another edition of Film Session with Darrell Rideaux. So on Monday, January 7th, 2019, there seems to be a lot of questions pertaining to the coaching staff under Clay Helton at the University of Southern California. In particular, recent offensive coordinator hire, Cliff Kingsbury. Now, as we recall, Cliff Kingsbury was previously the head coach at Texas Tech, was fired after going 5-7, and had elected to come to USC despite soliciting interest from the National Football League. But more recently, although he has accepted the offensive coordinator position at USC, the NFL has allegedly reached out to the University of Southern California requesting permission to speak to Cliff Kingsbury, in particular the New York Jets and the Arizona Cardinals, but not for the offensive coordinator position, for the head coaching position. Now, over the weekend, there was rumors that perhaps the athletic department was blocking Kingsbury's potential interviews with the New York Jets and the Arizona Cardinals. Now, while those allegations have been unsubstantiated on whether or not the athletic department granted permission, what we've learned is that Cliff Kingsbury has indeed accepted an interview with the New York Jets and perhaps the Arizona Cardinals to come. Now, whether or not that means that he bought out his contract or USC had a change of heart and decided to allow him to interview, the truth will come out very shortly. But today, rather than focus on speculation at the University of Southern California, while Cliff Kingsbury still shows up on the official athletic department website as the offensive coordinator, let's assume that he will continue to be the offensive coordinator at USC until further notice, and that the air raid attack that Cliff Kingsbury ran at Texas Tech will now be introduced to USC. So in today's film session, we're going to focus on Santa Ana, modern day Bru McCoy. Now, Bru McCoy is regarded by many as the #1 athlete in the country, playing outside linebacker and wide receiver. And recently, during the Army All-American game, announced that he would be attending the University of Southern California over the likes of the University of Texas and other schools. So give a lot of credit to Clay Helton and his coaching staff for being able to manage all the turmoil around the program, create enough stability within the coaching staff to continue to demonstrate a consistency on the offensive side by promoting Kerry Colbert from tight end to wide receiver position. And Kerry Colbert was very instrumental in recruiting Bru McCoy. And apparently that connection was one part of the decision factor of Bru McCoy deciding to commit to USC. Now, we should also mention that at Modern Day, during the 2017 junior campaign for McCoy, he was teammates with a current USC starting quarterback, JT Daniels, and current wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown. So this trinity that will continue for at least the next couple years. So let's focus on Bru McCoy and how will he factor in as a wide receiver or perhaps as a linebacker within this USC system. Let's take a look at incoming freshman, recent commitment, Bru McCoy. Rather than focusing on his 2018 senior campaign at Santa Ana, California, modern day, let's take a look at his junior year in 2017, where he was catching passes from the likes of a JT Daniels. Now, Bru McCoy at 6'3", 205 pounds, is regarded as the #1 athlete in the country because of his versatility, very physical wide receiver, but also his ability to cause havoc as an outside linebacker. Now, the way that his highlight works is one play will be an offensive highlight, and then they'll flip it to a defensive play. So as he's on offense, we'll talk about his abilities. Again, he does a good job against Poly, and Poly's often known for having very athletic defensive backs. Does a good job of tracking the ball, catching it at its highest point. Again, very physical at the point of attack, but at 4'6", I'm not quite sure that he can get away from Pac-12 corners, the way that he is able to at the high school level. Again, let's take a look at him, how he tracks the ball. Very physical. You're not going to bump him off of his route. But again, after 2 plays, what we're noticing so far is against defensive backs at the high school level, he's not getting a lot of separation. Many of the balls that we're noticing so far are caught at his highest point, back shoulder, or him stacking the defender. This is Bru McCoy. Expect him in a Clancy Pendergast coach defense to play either the strong side outside linebacker position or the predator position that was, for the past 3 or 4 years, was run effectively by Porter Gustin. But going into next year, if Bru McCoy is going to play on the defensive side of the ball, expect someone like Christian Rector or Jordan Iosefa to flip Christian Rector from the defensive end position going to the predator position, which he played 2 years ago and was very productive, which led him to all Pac-12 honors during that year. I believe he made second team all Pac-12 that year. He filled in for Porter Gustin. Now, if this is Jordan Iosefa, flipping him from Sam linebacker or strong side linebacker to the predator position will open up an opportunity for Bru McCoy to play in space, coming off the edge as an end rusher or covering in space, which, again, with his athletic skill set, may suit him very well. But I still think he's a little too undersized to be as effective as he would be in Clancy's system. Expect him more so to be featured on the offensive side of the ball, where he was recruited heavily by Kerry Colbert. Again, what I like about him is he's very physical and he closes open space on the defensive side of the ball. And the way that Mater Dei used him very effectively as a split end or X receiver at the point of attack, smaller defenders trying to bump him, you're not going to win that battle. At the top, as a strong side linebacker, coming off the edge, causing havoc in the backfield, he likes to make plays around the line of scrimmage. Not the most disciplined route runner, but he is very physical, and because of that, he wins a lot of 50-50 balls. Now, I want to go back on this play right here. And the reason being is because I just talked about him as the lack of discipline in his route running. And what we noticed against Santa Ana Margarita, and since this is 2017, that might be Elijah Griffin. But you notice how McCoy slips at the end of his route? But look what he does. He gets up, very physical at the point of attack. So you love the fact that he gives excellent effort. In those 50-50 balls, once they go in the air, he has every bit of confidence in his ability to come down with them. Great hands, nice inside move. I like the way that he turns that inside foot and he's able to create a short corner. We talked about him not being the most disciplined route runner, so I would not expect him at USC to be featured as an outside wide receiver. Instead, what we should come to expect from him, is with USC running this air raid attack, assuming that Cliff Kingsbury remains the offensive coordinator and USC features the air raid attack, expect to see someone like Bru McCoy playing in the slot. If USC decides to go 10 personnel, 1 running back, no tight ends, 4 wide receivers, with his physicality at 6'3", moving him inside, allowing him to play in space against slower linebackers and smaller safeties will suit his skill set very well. Don't see him winning a lot of battles on the outside, simply because at 4'6", he doesn't possess the necessary speed to close the gap on the Pac-12 caliber defensive backs. And against bump and run coverage, he will benefit from the teachings of a Kerry Colbert, who has moved from tight end coach over to wide receiver coach. But overall, USC is getting a tremendous talent who can play on either side of the ball and be very competitive. But what we should expect from him is to initially compete on the offensive side of the ball, being that he's been recruited by Kerry Colbert. Look for him to come in and attempt to make an immediate impact competing against the likes of Velus Jones or try to get in that rotation behind Tyler Vaughn and Michael Pittman Jr. But if you're an alpha and you're a 5-star recruit, you have every bit of confidence in your ability to come in and try to compete for playing time. Fortunate for him in the Cliff Kingsbury air raid attack, they oftentimes run 7 to 8 receivers deep. So you may not see a receiver with 80 to 90 catches. You may see a lot of receivers with 30 to 45, 50 catches because of the way that they should spread this system around. So for WeAreSC.com, in this film session, I like what I see with this incoming recruit in Bru McCoy. How his game translates will be determined based on a number of factors. Whether or not Cliff Kingsbury comes back as the offensive coordinator and honors that commitment, or goes off to the NFL and USC is left to identify who will become the next offensive coordinator. But for now, if Bru McCoy is able to make an impact at USC, expect that impact to be made on the offensive side of the ball.